G2 is legitimately the #1 team in the world right now. Today is May 8th, 2026. We are in LEC Spring 2026, Week 7, Day 1, and this is the LEC Daily Recap Show coming at you from me, Tough Leader, okay? And please, this is the one of the few times I'm in a shameless plug. Please subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of May, and I think we can do it like right now, right? And this is once we hit that, I promise I will not do these annoying ass plugs at the beginning of the video. But anyway, this is the LEC Daily Recap Show, and we have an epic series to talk about, not necessarily for the reason you might expect. Today was the matchup between G2 and KC. As we all know, this regular season is a one round robin, best of 3 format, and so every team gets to play each other once. And this final week is really special because not only is it a road show in Madrid, I believe, or maybe Barcelona, I forget, it's in Spain, hosted by MKOI. It is insane because we have the top 4 teams from the LEC versus playoffs all in attendance, only playing against each other. This is freaking insane. It's GX, who came in 4th last split, followed by MKOI in 3rd, KC, and G2. So all of these matchups should theoretically be bangers. And this should also give us a really, really good playoffs preview since, again, with this being the final week, all of the teams should be ramped up more or less, right? This isn't like week 1 where G2 falls to Fnatic and it's kind of a fluke and they're tired from first stand. This is all of the teams preparing for the most important part of the split where every single series is do or die. So that brings us to today. Some of the context for this particular matchup specifically. First and foremost, LEC versus. These were our 2 finalists, and in my opinion, when you think about the losers finals, as I like to call it, which was KC versus MKOI, just before, winner goes to finals against G2. This is, again, LEC versus time. That series was, KC versus MKOI was close. Granted that it was 5 games, but I think KC's wins were pretty dominant, and it made me feel that MKOI was a step behind them. And considering just how freaking razor thin the margin was between KC and G2, even though in a hindsight, G2 looks a lot better, especially because of the first stand appearance. Point is, I think KC and G2 were really, really close, extremely good teams, and so far this entire LEC spring, these 2 top teams have not matched up again. So today was extremely exciting. Now, let's talk about kind of where we've been at in LEC spring. Now, I would show you the LEC 2026 spring kind of Lolpedia or whatever, but I haven't watched the MKOI series yet, so I don't want to spoil it, and I might make a video later today. We'll see. But when we go to Karmine Corp here, Karmine Corp in this regular season is at 6-0, which is fucking insane. They have beat Vitality, who's at the top of the standings, and everybody except MKOI, G2, and GX. Now, yes, those were the former best teams, but Giant X and MKOI in particular, and actually arguably G2, weren't looking super strong. The other teams looking strong were like Vitality and Navi, and Karmine Corp beat them confidently. So it was looking like maybe Karmine Corp, especially with G2 potentially having some first stand burnout, might be the outright #1 team. Busio and Kalist, both separately and together, absolutely disgusting and insane. Yehu, in my opinion, personally, it's Yehu and Kana whose hands, their mechanics are just absurd. Truly, I can't speak too much to their rotations and other macro, but their hands is what always stands out to me when I watch them. And Yike, who was a former G2, the former G2 jungler and often underrated player on the team, in my opinion, has been pretty great on this team, both last year and this year. So Karmine Corp, despite some nitpicks, some criticisms of them, I believe they were saying they don't have the best early games, but tend to turn it around in the mid game. It just looked like this might be our outright #1 team. Even Vitality, who was 8-1 in the standings right now after completing all of their series for the regular season, their own one and only loss is to Karmine Corp. So it seemed like Karmine Corp was definitively the #1 team in the league. Compare this to G2, who so far, coming into today, was at a 4-2 standing, which isn't so bad until you consider the fact that they haven't played the other top teams like MKOI, KC, and GX. So theoretically, they could have lost to these teams and end at a 4-5 record, which would ultimately get them across the line to playoffs, but would be a not so good looking finish, right? Wouldn't give us the confidence that G2 is really capable of what they did at first stand. Maybe it was a fluke, right? Now, I said in one of my previous videos about the LEC playoffs predictions, I am done writing off G2, and I am so glad I said it. And now today is an example of me just being extra confident when I make these predictions that G2 just doesn't disappoint anymore. Well, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself and kind of spoiling things, but I did say in that video, G2 in LEC Versus, I wanted to write them off. I made a video called G2 is wasting Caps' prime. I believed it with my whole heart, thinking that Skewmon and Labrov and even Hans and BB arguably were not cutting it and that they needed to rebuild and all this different shit. And then they win LEC Versus. They did go up 2-0 and then game 3 throw a lead in the LEC Versus finals and whatever, and it was sketchy, but they ultimately crossed the line, and that would have been okay, and that probably would have built a lot of faith for me. But there is no denying 3-0ing FearX and Gen G, especially that this isn't Worlds, because I can understand Gen G choking at Worlds like they always do, but to choke a tournament like First Stand, I really just kudos to G2. They proved so much. They also didn't get 3-0'd in the finals. They got 3-1, but they didn't get 3-0'd, and I thought that was also very, very promising. So I am done counting out this team, okay? So even though they were at 4-2, and even though 2 of their losses were very bad, one of them being against Fnatic, and I believe I could check. I'm just nervous to check here real quick. G2 lost to Vitality, which is not nearly as bad. And I was kind of blanking there because I like trying to cover my eyes almost because I didn't want to see the results of the MKOI series. Long story short, they lost to Vitality, and they lost very early to Vitality. I forget, it was like in one of the first 1 to 3 weeks. And at that time, Vitality wasn't our definitive #1 regular season standing team. And it was just surprising, right? So I granted right now it doesn't look as bad as losing to Fnatic did, but nonetheless, it was still not the best. Okay, we get into the series. I have notes. Game 1. As you can see, I just finished the series because we're at that point in the live stream. Hold up, I'm pulling this up. So I'm going to try to do this relatively fast. We start with I'm not the best when it comes to draft. I'm just going to talk about the big moments. Okay, so we get into the game, and this is one thing that I'm a jungler. I probably said that like a bajillion times. I'm not the most knowledgeable jungler in the world, but I really like study it a little bit. I watch Coach Leo. Shout out Coach Leo if anybody else watches him. Really fantastic jungle coach. And I don't know, I really like watching those videos because it explains the macro decisions that are going into everything that the players are doing. Jungle is the role that I understand best when it comes to why players are making the decisions they're making. So in this instance, when you look at the jungle matchup, Skewmon on Skarner versus Yike on Pantheon, Pantheon is most likely going to win a skirmish between the two teams. Plus you have bot lane having the push, or at least the first rotation towards the river. So instead of trying to contest the scuttle whatsoever, Skewmon just starts to back. You can actually see he's already backed at 255, which is when the scuttle crab typically spawns. Yike is already on the scuttle crab, so he takes it, no biggie. Now this ward, this is pretty nuts. I actually went back when I was watching it around. Look at this, 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Caps walks into the river to drop this ward and immediately back. I guess he's getting a cheater recall. I don't even know what a cheater recall is. I'm not a laner. I swear to God, I'm not joking. Anyway, he backs. But that ward is crucial because it literally exposes Yike in this moment. Now, I personally don't recall what the casters were saying as to why Yike goes for this invade, but look at this. Another really cool thing that I noticed is that Skewmon is pathing towards the middle of the lane. Because he's backed so early, his camps aren't even on a timer just yet. Like, typically the jungle coaches say you want to be on a 20-second timer when you want to start your back, 8 seconds, and then another 12 to walk to the camp. You should get there right on time, and it's super duper efficient. But here, Skewmon, because he couldn't contest the scuttle, he's walking towards the center because you might be thinking, well, why doesn't he go for this scuttle? Well, because he wants his options to be open so that he can rotate to wherever the map most needs him. So, because he made that decision, I believe that is his the logic behind his decision. As soon as he sees Yike, look, he immediately starts to go towards where Yike is looking to invade. Now here, I don't know if Yike is looking to go into Crows here and then flash over to get a stun onto Caps. I don't know, because unless he thinks that Skewmon started on Raptors and that they might be up relatively soon, I am not sure. Maybe he just wants to put a ward down. Listen, there's a lot of different, actually I don't think he has a ward. There's a lot of different reasons why he could be doing this. But point is, he steps in. Caps goes for a little bit of a fight here. So Yike steps up, but then immediately turns back to look for a fight. This is confusing. Yike turns back again. I'm not sure that he saw Skewmon. Skewmon back, so he has a Kindle Gem. This interaction, this is one of those tricky moments where I'm not sure if this is luck on Skewmon's part or not. But he ends up getting the E that slams Yike right into the wall, chunking him for a lot of damage. And I believe the reason why the damage trade is so significant is also in part because Skewmon also has 200 health from this Kindle Gem. So it makes him look even beefier than he already is. And although he has to trade flashes, look at that. I don't even know where he gets the movement speed to keep up with him despite the flash. Skewmon gets this really, really cool first blood. I don't know, just really fascinating. And yeah, I guess I kind of pointed out everything that I wanted to point out in that play. I realize I don't necessarily want to go, well, I could go beat by beat here. KC is obviously no slouch. We can jump to 7 minutes. Wow, look at me. Around 7 minutes here, we will see a great dive by KC onto Hans and Labrov. So here, this is kind of what you want. You want your lanes to do things while Yike is full clearing on Pantheon or whatnot, even though his camps are up. I'm not sure why. I guess he just died. No, he didn't just die recently. Sorry. But the point is that Yike is able to apply pressure globally. So at any time, it can go from a numbers kind of even situation, bam, to a numbers advantage for KC. So that's exactly what they do. But what I found really impressive is look at the timing on Labrov's bubble here. I don't know how he knows that they're going for this dive. I guess it's just based on how they're posturing. But the second that spear comes down, he throws down the bubble, which slows down a lot of KC's engage. Busio does tank up a ton of hits in part because of, I believe, enhanced W. But he barely gets out. And then Kalist goes for the ultimate and gets the kill onto Labrov. So not looking so good. Honestly, just kudos to KC. And I think the important thing that I want to specify here, first of all, again, dominance by KC's bot lane, both Kalist and Busio. Great sync up and to kind of play enabling them from Yike, right? But I also want to compliment the fact that Labrov just felt kind of cool and under the pressure of the Pantheon here. I feel like G2 played it just about as perfect as they could. I do think this E towards Pantheon, I mean, what else could he do? E away? I guess he had to do it and try to stay under tower so that they had to take turret shots. So yeah, I think they literally played this as perfect as possible. All right, but then pretty quickly, the game starts to get extremely chaotic because in this play, so look, KC sees Skewmon. They saw that the grubs just got taken. They have a numbers disadvantage right now because KC just has their bot lane and yes, Yike on the rotation, but they're going into an immediate 3 members of G2, but I guess they feel confident. Now, Kalist is staying really far back and he is one of those AD carries who it just kind of knows his limits, and I think on a pick like Jhin, where he also has ultimate, he's looking to stay that far back so he doesn't die. And Busio stepping up, possibly, I imagine the logic is so that he can really just kind of heal and shield Pantheon so that Pantheon doesn't get popped here, but he ultimately does, getting, as we can see, E'd immediately. And this is something that I really wanted to point out about G2. Look at how calm they are under this pressure. I wrote it down somewhere really well. Similar to how Labrov bubbles the ult timing perfectly, Skewmon perfectly times the Skarner E to grab Yike as soon as he arrives. In this instance, maybe Pantheon ult was a poor choice with no additional support around him, although Busio was clearly trying to get there. So he was easy to get jumped by G2. But still, G2 is showing no fear against this pick. And I do have a little conspiracy theory that G2's drafting is also a massive part of why they were so dominant in this series. Anyway, look at that. They get the E into the, I forget what that ultimate is called, the Impale. They get Yike down, and then look how also I believe this play they follow up and they get another kill. I can't recall. Maybe not, but it's just really cool play right there. Wait, now I say at 15 minutes. What happens at 15 minutes? Is it here? Where is it? Oh, it's up here, I guess. So yeah, so here's another awkward play. So I guess to be fair, like, Yike finds out probably around here, now definitely knows that Scumon's in the area. Caps is forward, but he's LeBlanc, which is a very tricky pick to try and get on top of. So Yike goes for the W, which I think was a mistake, especially considering, yeah, it's just him and Yahoo, and nobody else has, I guess, no, Sion's bot. Yeah, they're taking this fight on purpose, unless Yike thought, like, I'm caught here, I just have to go. But look at that made him jump forward. I don't know, maybe he thought that Caps didn't have the dash of his own. The Nami wave comes through. Yes, a little bit of this is misplayed. Apparently, I know the casters were saying that they think that Scumon was kind of trying to predict Yike's sidestep maybe. Long story short, it's fine. Look at that. Yahoo pushes back Scumon, which has a full health bar. It does not phase him and gets Caps' clone. Caps plays this perfectly, just so deceptively, not getting caught by the primary damage of KC. Yike gets popped. Busio's able to get there in time. Or rather, not in time, he just gets there. Scumon does miss the impale, but bam! Caps jumps forward with the flash especially and gets the kill onto Yahoo. And just look at this, just one by one. This play is just a consistent 2v3, arguably then 2v4. Like, yes, Kalist ults from way far away, but just look at it. And I don't know why you can't see really the edge of that ultimate. Anyway, just really nuts. I don't know why KC took this fight. I should put some volume on this, just a little bit. Anyway, the last, I mean, this is just G2 playing cool, calm, and collected, taking objectives. They have 100% objective control up to this point, winning every single individual skirmish. The lanes were all doing actually relatively even, but yeah, G2 just playing extremely well. Where this game really, really impressed me. This kind of reminds me of their series in First Stand against Gen G, because I remember watching it and they were just playing so well. And I think the key thing that I want to say is their patience. G2 is not feeling the pressure to make plays that they do not have to. It really feels like such laser precision. It reminds me of like a great fighter like Conor McGregor or something, where it's like they're not using unnecessary energy. They're picking their shots with precision, because they do in the following game make insane plays, but almost 99% of them go their way. They're picking their fights brilliantly. And unfortunately KC don't seem to be doing the same outside of that 7 minute, the dive at 7 minutes. That one was very sharp, I will admit. Oh man, this is the game where BB just also gets onto Kalist and Kalist can't play the game. Let me see when, I imagine it's around here. So I'm sorry guys, this one I don't have the time code, but G2 goes for, oh, this play is the play. Look, check this out. This is the one where Kalist gets collapsed on. BB, that was so crazy. Oh, that was Caps. So look, the same way that in my finals recap video that I did, or kind of analysis video of KC versus G2 at LEC Versus, I kind of point out in slow motion how, and I'm going to do the same thing again here. I point out how KC is ridiculously good at peeling for Kalist. Well, either this is what pro players are always doing, or G2 took notes because of that series, or they just took notes in general. But my God, look at how they target Kalist, despite there being 4 other targets in the vicinity. Bam. Does significant damage. Broken Blade follows up immediately. Bang. Kalist is out of the fight. I mean, that was in slow motion. Watch it again in full speed. It's absurd. Kalist gone. Bam. Out of the fight. Now they can follow up on Busio. The fight's completely separated. KC has no more damage in their comp. And it's over. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know if this is draft diffy or what, or just the hands diffy. I know that recently Gumayushi, from formerly from T1, now on HLE, was mentioning that he feels like 60% of the game is draft, and I almost feel inclined to agree, both from my own experience and what experts constantly say. But ridiculously insane. And then as we move forward, I'm really trying to get you guys to the Baron play here. So check this out. So now with KC just kind of recovering, they immediately G2 pivots from taking the dragon to immediately starting the Baron. But watch how they do it, right? So yes, KC is completely blind. They have Caps and Labrov kind of keeping the distance, right? Separating them. They just have Hans and Skumon. But as soon as they see KC pull up, they pivot. They pivot right to taking the fight. Oh my god, Broken Blade, you don't even get to see it. I don't even know how KC allowed this to happen. I actually think that's it on KC's part. You don't get to see it because it's all happening in this middle lane. Meanwhile, the camera's panned over here by Baron. But they know that Broken Blade is in the area, but without really body blocking him, because Kana completely passes him. Look, to go for an engage, they just let Broken Blade get on top of KC. I think that's a massive mistake from KC, and kudos to G2 for kind of capitalizing on that mistake, but more on KC playing poor than G2 playing amazing there. What really impressed me, I think, in this play was G2's willingness. I don't know if it's just the fact that that Skumon's a tank, which maybe factors into why they were willing to pivot off the Baron, because it's not like their health bars were low, right? They didn't get low like they usually would have while taking the Baron. It's also really cool that frickin' Labrov's wave also is part of what caught him. I wonder if BB would have been able to kill him without it. It looks like he probably would have, but just, you know, anything helps, right? Really, really interesting stuff there. Anyway, they take the fight and then immediately pivot right back to Baron. And I think, oh, actually, look, they go back to the Baron, right? And I know I'm pausing here as I'm watching. What I find so fascinating, and again, maybe this is the draft, which if it is the draft, I think it's not just about the draft. It's about the fact that these players are playing this draft so well. Like, they're executing on the strengths of these picks brilliantly. They know why. I think G2 has a really good understanding of why they are picking the picks they are picking, and then because they have such a good understanding of that and the players understand it, so the players are executing the plan and they're drafting these plans of these champions and their strengths function together. I'm blown away. So what I really like, look, it's down to 4K, but they don't want to leave this to a 50-50. So even though Yike goes in, they drop the Baron, which allows it to recover at least 3,000 health. They flip onto Kana, pop Kana. Yike is now just getting ripped because he's not sharing the Baron aggro. He's just getting aggroed all by himself. Look how freaking low he gets. And then Caps just steps forward, gets the kill, and they pivot right back. And I want to see if anybody was intentionally holding aggro. It was Labrov. Bro, Labrov James, bro. Literally, I shout out to Labrov, dude. I was so critical of this guy. Look, he stays on the objective, does not get distracted. G2 is doing multiple things at once. Really amazing stuff, dude. I don't know, maybe I'm gassing them. Sometimes I think that I'm cracking myself up because sometimes I don't think I'm that big of a league expert, but this is really impressing me. And you know, I feel like as someone who watched, like, you know, when I see, like, G2 2023 or MKOI at their best, a lot of it is them steamrolling an individual fight, but G2 is just doing multiple things at once that are just ridiculously impressive. I don't know. Anyway. Whatever. Anyway, that was really ridiculous. They just win the game from here. There's not really any bigger moments. They just take fights and win the game. That's game one. Absolutely phenomenal. We jump to game two. Give me 1 second here. So game two, here's where I can comment on the draft. What I love about this, so Ashe Seraphine is really, really strong, a really, really strong bot lane. I would argue, especially with Busio, it's almost unfair to play against. But typically, the counter pick to that would be the Xin Zhao, right? So notable that KC didn't ban it, but they picked it, right? They were probably comfortable allowing G2 to pick it, right? Thinking that, because honestly, when I've watched it, it's like a decent counter, but it doesn't really stop what Ashe Seraphine want to do necessarily. Because also, what's it called? You get on top of Ashe Seraphine as the Xin Zhao, but you still take the damage because now you're not blocking their damage anymore because now they're within your ultimate. I think it's mainly the idea of Xin Zhao is that his ultimate is going to keep the damage away for like the rest of your team or whatever. You get the idea. What G2 does brilliantly, which we've seen this pick earlier, either this regular season or in LEC Versus, but they pick Olaf because he can go completely unstoppable and just run down the Ashe Seraphine, and that's exactly what he does in this game. Now, I'm trying to see the big moments. If I'm not mistaken, either I didn't write any notes or... No. There's plenty of fights, so I must have just wrote notes for when G2 pops off. So, I mean, KC plays great. Busio especially. Busio stands out immediately. Look at that. Yike is in the mid lane. And I will say... I'm actually, this kind of knocked down on Yike, and actually I should write that down. That's a good video idea. Mikyx spoke about how Yike was kind of at his best when Mickey took on the kind of pressuring the map responsibilities that the jungler usually takes on, and then Yike just concentrated on his own farm and things like that. Now, I definitely think Yike has gotten better at playing that more supportive play style, but you see Busio is kind of providing that same Mikyx treatment where he's, look at that, he's ganking at level 2, level 3, the mid lane, and helping to get a kill on, or secure a kill onto Caps. Skumon, this is going to be a little bit of like, we're going to find the plays as we get to them. Oh, this was the game where at level 1, Labrov and Hansama take a really bad trade onto the KC bot lane. I guess they were thinking that Caps could get there, and I don't know if it's the heal that gave them the speed up, that Caps is just like, all right, this is taking too long, I have to get back to my lane or else I'm going to lose advantage or whatnot, but he dips, and so it ends up with the G2 bot lane kind of being at a disadvantage at the early game. So this game was looking really promising for KC. They then, again, 2v2 alone, no jungle intervention. They get the kill. And this is also, KC is kind of like a better version of Rogue from back in the day, because when they have winning lanes, that's when Yike is at his best. We'll see that in this game, especially in this early game. So Labrov goes down. Then we have, okay, so in this play, that was, I mean, Skumon and Caps really do play so fucking brilliantly together. I really do think it's so impressive. I think it's better than even how Yike was. Look at that. Caps sets it up. He flashes out. And despite the flash from Yahoo, which I think was... I guess he was thinking that Skumon wouldn't be able to catch the axe and then change his trajectory. But bam, just gets the kill. Really impressive stuff. I guess he was also thinking that what's this guy's name? Olaf didn't have his flash. Anyway, here goes Yike. Look at this W flash. Bang. Gets the kill onto Caps. Fantastic. But then Skumon goes for the chase. I'm going to put on the volume because this is kind of an extended play here. He misses the W, but then Olaf misses the axe. He goes in. Kana's there. Yike doesn't get killed. Skumon heals, gets the heal from Labrov. I mean, this is just a really, really cool play. Broken Blade, yes, does get the kill into Yike, and that was actually pretty costly because up until that point, Broken Blade was down 600 gold. But getting that gold helps him in this more difficult matchup. Labrov, no fear. They're ready to go take on Kana. Anyway, this play ends. Okay, I think we're around the time where the tides start to turn for G2. Actually, no, not yet, because we get these really cool fights over here. So, KC brilliantly looks to dive Hansama, and I believe they do successfully get this kill, while at the same time, Broken Blade. Now, shout out to Broken Blade, because Broken Blade has been getting a lot of criticism this split, especially with players like Nako just absolutely shining in the lane matchup, or like in the lane phase. Broken Blade has been criticized constantly, and I also really disliked, or I should say disliked, actually, that's the most accurate way to say it, because I don't dislike it anymore, that Broken Blade would play, kind of have to play like weird picks in order to try and kind of compete in the lane. Like most notably, I think it was an LEC Versus where he played Lee Sin into Kana's Rumble. It ended up falling behind in the lane matchup and then being useless in team fights. I also thought that his BB's Shen pick was pretty lackluster, and it felt like he was kind of just ignoring the lane phase. I have to take it back for two reasons, because one, what BB is bringing to his team in the like team fight in the kind of after post lane phase parts of the game is so much more worth it than what he's bringing in the lane phase. And secondly, holy shit, his lane phase is fucking fine. He is outclassing Kana in a matchup where Kana is playing Aurora, which should beat the Gnar. Anyway, in the meantime, KC does successfully kill Hans Sama though. I think we get the full, I think they actually pan the camera to top side again, which is really awkward. Or no, did they show the whole kill here? Yeah, that's actually really crazy. They wait for the tower kind of like accelerated blast to wear off. That's a really noteworthy part of that play. Anyway, all right, let's get into how G2 completely flips this game on its head. It looks very much in KC's favor. There's another play in a few seconds. I think it's actually right here. Watch this. Kalish shoots the ult onto Labrov. Ready? Any second now? Am I crazy? Or onto Hansama. Ready? It's happening like any second now. And they don't even have Yike anymore because Yike backs, right? He finishes his back. Sorry, I know someone laughed about the tissue paper. It's just because I have a runny nose and I have allergies. Watch this. No, I'm so sorry. No, that's not the play. Son of a bitch. I thought this was the play. I write down here, Hansama's playing with confidence and actually surviving, unlike past time, I feel. Which I do give him kudos, because look at that. Labrov walks away and KC knows it. They know Hansama's alone. He sidesteps into the river, which is super duper risky. Doesn't throw his E and only throws it, and look, barely escapes the W, which might have been really costly for him. Anyway, BB again finding a really successful trade that puts Kana underneath his tower. Almost, if he got that spell off, it would have been a solo kill, and Yike doesn't even get there in time. Potentially calls for the dive, but they don't go for it. They get the grubs because of the push that he has. This is the play that I'm talking about from KC that was successful. Bam, that into that immediately, and then watch this. This is so nuts. I'm sorry, I'm saying that into that. That's pathetic. Enchanted Crystal Arrow into Hansama, followed by, I don't know what that ultimate is called from Seraphine. But the Seraphine ult, so Hansama is just completely CC'd. I believe they had Hansama's cleanse on freaking cooldown, man. Every single time it was up, they forced Hansama to use it, or else he was in kill threat. They get the freaking encore E so that it's a root, right? So now or stunned, in fact, so Hansama cannot move. But this is where the play gets really insane. Labrov throws the magical journey down, so Busio throws the Q in the middle of the terrain, and it kills Hansama. Is anybody else blown away? I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't know. Like, I guess logically now it makes sense, but like there's certain spells on the champions that I play that cannot go through terrain like that. It just won't work. That was just brilliant. That was just insane. Listen. Oh, well. Busio has the biggest individual goal difference in the game at this point. Ridiculous. Has 4 out of 6 kill participation. Incredible. Completely dominating the lane matchup. Ridiculous. Okay. I'm trying to think where... yeah. So, honestly, kudos. I guess we'll get into some recap stuff in just a second. Look at this. Again, BB just doing well in the lane. Applying pressure. Honestly, I'm like, where does this... I should have written down the time codes. I can't even comprehend how Skumon knows this play. Okay, now this play's like... Okay, this is where G2 starts to ramp up again. So Yahoo steps up. Labrov pulls the trigger on the magical journey. They find some slows. They attack him. Then Yahoo... I felt like this is really weird. I said, I don't know if this is a misclick or what, but Yahoo takes the magical journey when he could have just flashed, and I think he would have been completely safe. Yes, Skumon could have flashed, but you have Busio here. You would have gotten in range of his heals, and Busio could have also rooted. Although, granted, Skumon could, do Ragnarok. I don't know if they were thinking that deeply. I just think it's basically a mistake. Anyway, then look, Labrov is like ready to fight all over again, even though he's not even level 6. And Busio, I mean, I'm sure he's tracking. Actually, something really interesting, kind of like some hindsight is 2020 here. Skewmon in the post-game interview said that one of the biggest things that they kind of initiatives that G2 is working on right now is tracking flashes and likely ultimates. I know they said flashes. I'm just not 100% about if they said ultimates. And the reason is because that's how they have a really good idea of if they can take these plays or not. I think that's really cool. And apparently this is from way back when. I wish I could quote exactly where I know this from. But apparently Caps is also like really known for just having like that insane memory of like tracking all of these insane timers in his head, like enemy flashes and stuff like that. So anyway, I am sure that a lot of these fights that G2 are even just posturing for are because they are aware that, like in that example, Busio doesn't have the freaking flash up. Anyway, this play blows my mind because you would think that the play is kind of over. Everybody's recalled. Usually you want to recall in sync. Skewmon's probably sitting on some gold, although I don't remember. I honestly, I haven't gone back into this play to tell you exactly. But the point is, he just took his Krugs, his Gromp and his Wolves are up. You would think that, you know, the play is over, right? But here they see Kalist backing, right? They know they have the pink ward, so there's no vision there. Skewmon knows he's not on vision here, so he keeps walking up. I don't know why Kalist steps into this bush. You would think that he either would just back under tower or back under here. I would assume that he needs to back. I don't know. This is kind of a mistake on Kalist straight up, but Skewmon just pulls the trigger. I was just impressed that Skewmon even thought. Like, I'm curious if there's some information that I'm missing that Kalist, he knew that maybe there's a logical reason why Kalist is checking that bush, and thus Skewmon knew that and is thus going for this. Unless Skewmon is thinking that he's going to go for Kalist in this bush, but I don't think he would do that. Anyway, gets the kill onto Kalist, but the play is not over. Truly, I'm going to say some recap thoughts at the end, so please stick around for those because there's kind of like closing remarks about this. Look at Labrov finding the fucking, I forget what the Tempered Fate I think it's called or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, freaking gets that kind of ability that Bard has where you need to hit the wall. It goes through despite Busio's flash, so he ultimately gets stunned, gets the Q thrown despite the charm. He's so slowed from the axe, gets slowed one more time, and then bam. Is that Ace in the Hole or whatever from Hansama? Is that the name of his ultimate? You think the play is going to continue with a Realm Warp from Ryze, but Yahoo calls off the play, and that's it. That was a huge swing. BB again dominating Kana. Oh, man. Almost, not almost gets the kill. Oh, my God. Look how he goes, dude. Anyway. And the plays just continue, man. Let me see what else happens here. Sorry, I wish I wrote down the time. At the fight at 14 minutes is pretty greedy from not outright bad. They see. Am I crazy? What am I talking about? Oh, yeah. Right here. So this is where it looks like G2, and G2 did make mistakes. It's so funny because after the game, Broken Blade was like, we definitely made mistakes. And I was like, what mistakes? And now watching it back, I'm like, oh, those mistakes. So Labrov and Skewmon go for the magical journey here, but they just saw the Ash Arrow come out. They also see Yike on vision, and likely from this point, I mean, maybe it's canceled, but if you're taking the word, it's usually revealing vision. They should also know that Kalist is here and arguably Busio. So why they go for this magical journey unless they think that they can kill Yahoo in like a second, I don't know. They fail to, especially because Yahoo holds his flash until like the right time. Disengaged by Yike is truly something special because, you know, freaking Jin Zhao is more of a single target type of CC champion, and on top of that his ultimate is typically used for defense, but here he ease forward flash freaking R's to get Caps under tower here. Caps does flash out, but they're able to get the kill onto Skewmon and then follow up on Caps as well. Even though Yike does fall, he puts the pink ward over the blast cone so he can't escape, and Yahoo gets the kill. So good play by KC, and I think it was capitalizing off of a mistake on a fight that G2 should not have pushed for. Okay, we jump to 18 minutes. Oh, yep, I just got into the fight. Oh my God, wow. I am literally forgetting how bad it looked for G2, dude. This is insane. So, we have Caps, which Caps is just going to be like a freaking bomb, right? With the stun and all the anti-damage immediately. But Kana really is the star of this fight, even though they give a lot of kudos to Kalist. I think Kana really sneaking up here and then throwing down the ultimate and finding good damage onto Hansama and Labrav. Broken Blade comes in the Mega Gnar, which, like the caster said, I think caught KC by surprise because he immediately stuns Yike and then finds this ultimate onto Yike once again. Kalist beautifully flashes away from it. I believe it's called Tempered Fate. The Bard ult comes out, and it looks like this is super G2 favored. They get the kill onto Yike, but now Skewmon has nobody else to attack because Yahoo and I believe this is Kana are in stasis. So there's nobody else to attack, so the Ragnarok falls off, right? Now Kalist is just free hitting onto Broken Blade, who's about to go into Mini Gnar, and now it's like G2's completely out of gas. Watch this. Even though Labrav finds a brilliant, wow, shout out to Labrav, brilliant stun onto Yahoo, Kana, and Busio. Look at Kana, who finds the freaking, ooh, gorgeous. I believe that's Aurora Q, or E actually. Just pops Skewmon and Hansama. BB gets popped by Kalist on the back end. Kalist is just free firing onto Broken Blade. And it just looks horrible with G2 getting nothing back. And that's right. That puts KC at 3 dragons. So it is looking, granted, G2's keeping the gold close. But being at Soul Point is really not promising for G2, right? Oh, that's another. Oh my god. Dude, wow. It is so insane how you forget the plays that happen. You think that G2 is just dominating, but no. They do snowball eventually, but this is an impressive comeback of sorts. Alright, so... Man, I want to remember... I really regretfully, I did not write the time codes. So I'll just have to fly forward. It must be... Oh my god, right here, right here, right here. Look at this. This is ridiculously impressive. Magical Journey onto Labrav, onto Busio and Kalist. Now, Busio and Kalist have all the CC they need to make sure that this play stops before it even starts. But that's why the Ragnarok and the Olaf pick is so brilliant. Even though I believe... Oh, that was a Labrav flash. I thought Kalist flashed. Labrav flashes just to get a slow. He doesn't even get a successful stun. And bam, the Ragnarok, he just pushes through. And then look at this. Again, now they must know no ultimate. I think they know they have flash on Busio, but they do not give a shit. They recognize that they have the damage, and I guess Skewmon's like, I'm full health. This flash Q is so cool to me because I guess it kind of looks tricky. Bam. Gets the freaking kill onto Busio. Just absurd. While all this is happening, Broken Blade was 1v1 Kana, gets him super low. Kana just getting outclassed by Broken Blade in the 1v1 matchup. Yike arrives and is getting Broken Blade down, but Broken Blade manages to get the kill onto Kana. Yes, Yike has to flash to get the W, I believe, onto Broken Blade, but then Yike, Broken Blade beautifully flashes the E ultimate from Yike, so Yike does not get his damage off. And then Caps, look, he's a ranged pick. You usually be intimidated by this. Walks forward, fuck you, bitch. Gets the stun. I don't even know if the damage went off. I think it's just the stun. I literally think it's just the stun, and they do not care. They get the damage off later. They get the kill onto Yike. Absurd. Absurd. How do they know they can do this? This is crazy. I mean, obviously, Caps teleported, but just nuts. Yahoo was criticized in this game for being very absent, and it's because he was split pushing and he doesn't have TP, which is a big part of the problem, so it's not even like he can get there. Yes, he can realm warp, I guess, but how close is that going to get him? Into the mid lane? Not really worth it. He's just not in the position, and I wonder if G2 knew that, and that's why they chose this moment to kind of go for these plays. I really want to give them the kudos that I imagined they were aware of a lot of these decisions. Suddenly, they have a dragon and a lot more gold, and suddenly G2 is in a stronger position. They're actually in the gold lead. Where's the next big play here? It is literally just Skewmon and Labrav just finding pick after pick. Look at, they're always together. They're always together. Yike tries to stop their backs. I'm not sure how he knows that they have their back. The Tempered Fate comes out. I gotta freaking... Is that what it's called? I feel like it's called something else. Anyway, then they see Yike clearing the vision. And bam, with Caps now, pop Yike. Gets the Ragnarok. Looks really scary, but BB is teleporting. Labrav is low, but they're surviving. And even though he gets popped, Yehu gets popped next. And now they have a Baron angle.
Look, they have all the traps set up here. Kana takes a little bit of a peek.
Kana's getting spaced out by BB. BB can tank it. We're chilling. And then look at that. G2 does not lose their minds. Even though they're in a winning position, they back off the Baron. Brilliant patience from this team. And fantastic picks from... Oh my god, look at this pick. This is just ridiculous. I guess this is just mistakes from KC. But look, Kana steps up just for a second. I don't even know why Caps and BB are there. He does not get a second between the CC. And Labrav gets out here. He drops the ultimate, followed by the stun. Oh, he misses the stun, actually. But doesn't matter, because they still freaking get the kill onto Busio and Kalist. And now they go for the Baron. Who freaking cares? And on top of that, they also scout out that Yike would probably... Because look, they could just all focus the Baron, but Caps is like, nah, I'm pretty sure Yike's going to be looking for a steal here, because he's famous for it. And almost single-handedly gets the kill. I don't even think he needed BB, but fuck it. Bring BB. Why not? Ridiculous. Just plays after plays after plays. Look at this play. Gets the ultimate so that everybody can get close. They find the stuns. And just pop Busio before he can even freaking react. And just before you can even say it. And then look at this. This is crazy too. Because they're playing with the Baron. If you compare this to Fnatic, which Fnatic is awful right now, unfortunately. So, but when you compare this to Fnatic, look how they play with their Baron minions, right? Gets the Mikhails for Caps. But Caps does ultimately fall, I believe. But they don't even need him because Kana goes down. And dude, the game is over. They're just like, why wait? Why wait? Let's just end the game right now. Hansama. Oh my god, shout out Hansama. I wrote it in my notes, but I haven't even talked about it yet. Anyway, they end up throwing the ultimate down. They just end the game. Alright, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching that. It's not over. It's not over. Because here are the closing remarks. Wow, G2. Broken Blade, literally getting so much criticism, and now I have to almost say exactly what I said about G2 about Broken Blade. I am not writing this guy off anymore. When he is needed most, he's like the Avatar. He comes. He doesn't vanish. He arrives. He's here. Broken Blade shows up in lane, out 1v1s Kana in almost every interaction they had, especially in Game 2 and in Game 1, even though Kana was not on his specialty pick. But being on Aurora, that's a carry pick. That's what you expect Kana to perform on. He didn't perform on it, unfortunately. Fantastic from Broken Blade. Always knowing what he has to do. Finding leads. Just honestly stellar. Can't say enough praise about Broken Blade. Hansama, the shout out that I want to give to Hansama is that this guy, I think it's ridiculously impressive. This guy is like an upset. He wants the game to be driven by him. He wants to play Draven. He wants the jungler to come to him. He wants to drive the game forward, push every advantage, and be the carry. So the fact that he has nearly completely 180'd and just pivoted to, I'm going to stay back. I am going to be the guy that can 1v2 weak side. And not only weak side, but be relevant in the late game and actually find us advantages. It is so admirable that he's willing to pivot to a new playstyle like that. And he's doing it at such a fucking good level. Now, arguably, maybe any player could do it being on G2 right now. Who knows? But I just think especially it's admirable that he's willing to play a playstyle that is different than his usual. And he's crushing it. And no complaints. And also, you know, Hansama, we saw him pop off on the Ezreal the other day. Hansama can still play his carry style, of course. Labrav and Skumon, man, dynamic duo. I think this team understands how they want to play. They want to play around Skumon driving the game. And Labrav was the right support to pick with him. Honestly, kudos to G2. I mean, you know, Mickey X is extremely talented, and I'm sure he could have done it as well. Busio is extremely talented. I'm sure he could have synced up with a jungler as well. But, you know, sometimes, you know, this is what I kind of criticize Fnatic about. Fnatic is always looking to just put the best names, the best on paper names and team members on the same team. But G2 is willing to look stupid when they know they're the geniuses deep down. Because putting Labrav, who was, I'm not trying to knock Labrav now. Labrav is playing phenomenal. But like, you look at Busio, even in his performance in game 2 today, and you would think, man, G2 should want Kalist and Busio, but maybe not. Because maybe that would hurt Skewmon, who's driving the game right now, who is creating these advantages. Maybe Kalist couldn't do what Hansama is doing as a weak sider, and maybe Busio could not, like, help Skewmon and pair up with him the way that Lebrov does. I'm blown away. I don't know what else to say. I will try to keep the G2 glazing to a minimum in my follow-up games, and I'm sure I'm going to have compliments about KC. Today, the biggest thing I could compliment KC about was the bot lane. Kalist and Busio played fantastic. I don't think anything was their fault. Yehu was surprisingly absent. Yike tried his best, and I'm not 100% sure to say what went wrong in his case. I think I would have liked to see him play more for top side, because, well, I don't even know if I should say that, but anyway, I think just KC got a little gap today. And even though Kalist and Busio, I think there's nothing to take away from them. And I wouldn't say they got gapped. I just think that G2 accepted it. It was almost like a handshake. It's like, you guys are going to win the 2v2. You're going to win lane and all that. But we are going to outperform you with general map plays. And just ridiculous. Granted, looking back at the game, I'm glad that I reviewed it today with you guys, because it does give me more context that, yes, G2 did make plenty of mistakes. But still, just seeing that they're able to turn things around, not panic, play so calm and patient. Patience is the name of their game. They do not feel I feel like they don't feel insecure. They feel confident that they can beat fucking Gen G. I think they feel confident that even if they're behind KC, they can still win. And the last thing I want to mention, back in 2024, G2 made like insane comebacks against Fnatic. My famous line is like 5K, 6K, and 10K or something like that. Or 5K, 8K, and 10K. They were behind those in 3 games and made 3 miracle comebacks. But those comebacks seem to be more from Fnatic choking rather than G2 being super proactive. And in this instance, it truly is G2 being the proactive ones, finding plays on a team that is ahead of them. It was so crazy that they were hyping up before that Dragon Soul fight. Like, G2 has to find a way to find this Dragon Soul fight, and instead of meeting KC in a 5v5, they played the map and found picks before the Dragon so they could just take the Dragon in peace. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I think this is our #1 team. I hope to God MKOI steps up. I think KC is also a fantastic team that is capable of pushing G2. And what makes me so happy is I am sure KC and MKOI are capable of being pushed by G2 in the same way. That they are going to get better because they have this fantastic team that they have to compete with, that they have to train against. I love EU. I love the LEC. I have some awesome news and big things coming. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm fucking out, motherfuckers. I don't know. I didn't like you guys seeing my legs that much. Not that my legs, just the way my freaking basketball shorts are riding up on my legs. Subscribe if you made it to 51 minutes in this video. I love you guys. Bam. Get the fuck out of here. I might do another video. We'll see. We'll see.